So here's 5 more things you're going to want to pick up when you start creating content. All right, let's talk about sandbags. Now, if you haven't realized how important these things are yet, trust me, they are. Light stands are meant to be light. So are tripods. You grab them, you take them with you. But the equipment on them has some weight to them, especially if you have an overhead rig or something like that. It's got to be counterbalanced, which is where these come in handy, especially if you have one with the thing on it and the carabiner. You can just go ahead and clip it to it. It can hold the thing down, or you can drape it over top of stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've knocked my camera out of position. Wind's blowing by and knocked something over. You know, you have a soft box on your light, so it tips forward a little bit. Without that counterbalance on the back, you're going to let it tip and it's going to hit somebody, especially if you plan on doing client work or something. You don't need that kind of liability. Or even if you just have people working with you or helping you out or whatever in your shop, you don't need something falling on them and somebody getting hurt. Trust me, these things are going to come in handy. And a little tip, I don't actually use the sand and stuff directly in the bag. I put it in a freezer bag, so this way it's all self-contained and you can just zip it up from there. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you guys to grab some for yourself. Just know I'll make a small commission if you use that link. All right, so let's talk about computer memory. This is on my laptop and this is on my desktop. When I got the desktop brand new, this was an 8 gig stick. And there was no problems with it, with the quality or anything else. It just wasn't enough. Now, I had already been running the laptop, which is why I bought the desktop. The 8 gigs worked for a while, but after I was editing a whole bunch and stuff like that, you would have bottlenecks, you would have stutter, all this kind of stuff. Even the exports were 20 to 40 minutes for a simple export. If I had to make edits and stuff, I was going to have to wait longer. I went ahead and bought 64 gigs. When I put the 64 gigs in there, everything was so much faster. It cut my time down to like a quarter. Instead of 20 to 40 minutes exporting, I was doing it in like 7 to 12 minutes. You don't need to underestimate how much memory can make a difference. I never touched the CPU or the GPU or the SSD in the desktop. I only touched the memory and it made things so much faster. It made it easier to edit, honestly. I'm editing in 4K now and not having any problems out of it. I'm still exporting relatively fast. Only about a 5-minute difference on the export from the 1080p. All right, let's talk external mics. Now you're probably thinking, what do I need an external mic for? Isn't the one on my camera, phone, or even computer good enough these days? And yes, they have improved drastically. I mean, you can get them with dual microphone setups, so you get stereo sound, or they're omnidirectional and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but you still want an external source when possible. When I'm on the go, I use my phone and I use microphones that are built into it. I have no problem doing that. You can tell a difference. I'm using an external mic right now on the device I'm using, and it makes a huge difference, especially if the camera or whatever is further away from you. That microphone that's built into it isn't going to work as well. That's called a scratch track. What that is pretty much just something so you can take your external audio and you can layer it over top of the scratch track in your editor so you get the better sound, or even merge them together to get some depth and stuff. But you want something that's in an ideal position, so this way it gets great audio and it's focused at whatever you're actually pointing at. Now, you can get these in all different things. We can get them in wireless, Bluetooth, or USB powered ones like this that plug into your device. You can get the standard 3.5mm connection or an adapter to plug this into. Actually, this is wired to be on you, but this is actually still on a wireless transmitter unit itself. Or you can get something like a USB powered podcast mic. Just use a pop filter so this way you don't push all that stuff through into the mic. And that's where our next product that you're going to want to pick up comes in. Whether you're wanting to line up the external audio to the internal or just keep track of the scenes you're doing and stuff like that, the old school clapper board is where it's at. You get that little snap. It allows you to line the peaks up inside your editor. Some editors will actually line it up for you automatically if it's so close to each other. But it also allows you to write down what you've got going on. For instance, let's say you're not doing a movie or a client work and doing different scenes in that sense, but you're making multiple videos throughout the day. So I can actually write down on here what the product is or what the scene is or whatever the case is and what take I've done, so I can write down in a notebook or whatever, all right, I did 12, 13, 15, and 18 as good takes. The rest of them need to be deleted. And then I can go through and be like, all right, when I'm going through my camera roll or on the computer reviewing things, I can actually see the clapperboard and what's wrote down on it and know, okay, those are the takes that I like. Those are the ones I want to delete. And boom, it saves me a whole lot of time. Or you can actually have that little snap, like I said, allowing you to line up the external and internal sources. Now, what I mean by that is if you're not plugging directly in with a headphone jack or a USB dongle or something like that, and you have a separate audio device that you're recording to, when you get in your editor, you're going to need to know how to line that up. And that snap is going to help you do that. Like I said, some might do that automatically. All right, so let's talk about fabric. Now, you're probably thinking, I don't do any kind of product work. What is fabric going to do me any good? But you won't believe how many times this stuff actually comes in handy, not just from my review channel, but for making thumbnails, for blocking myself off in the background if I want to key something out, for blocking off something you don't want somebody to see, or if you're doing a shot but you got stuff that's just showing up behind it, you can actually use this to block it off, and depending on how you're doing your lighting, you might not even see it, especially if you use the black backdrop or something like that. And this stuff's only quilting fabric, believe it or not. You can go to any craft store or quilting store or even Walmart for less than $3 a piece. You can pick these up. They have all kind of different colors, from vibrants to solids to pastels, really dark tones. You can pick up stuff with zigzags or polka dots or any kind of other design. Now that you have to watch, because one, it might be distracting, but number two, you got to make sure it's commercial use or not copyrighted pictures that you're buying. Don't go get something that has, like a licensed character on it. But the fact of the matter is there are endless possibilities. For instance, I'm using the white not just to show stuff off, but because I'm helping white balance my shot. Not only is the camera using it for the white balance, but also in post, I use it to know where white is. I do that all the time. You'll see corners of stuff in my shots because I'm either using a solid piece of printer paper or one of these backdrop cloths. All right, there's my list, but it's okay. I got more for you right here. And if you want to get any, don't forget, they're linked in the description. I will make a small commission though. Thanks for watching.